If ASML's headquarters in the Netherlands disappeared tomorrow, the modern world would effectively stop, not in a few years, not in a few months, in a matter of weeks. The global economy would freeze. The production of every smartphone, every AI server, and every advanced missile system on the planet would grind to a halt. We aren't talking about a big player in the tech industry, we are talking about the single point of failure for human civilization. ASML is the only company on Earth that can build the machines required to make the world's fastest chips. One machine costs $350 million. It's the size of a double-decker bus, contains 100,000 parts, and requires 3 Boeing 747s just to ship it to a customer. This is the story of how a small Dutch company created a global monopoly so powerful that it's now the front line of a new Cold War. This is ASML. You've heard of NVIDIA, you've heard of Apple, you've heard of Intel, but here's the truth they don't tell you in the commercials. Without ASML, those companies are just software and expensive dreams. In the world of high-tech manufacturing, there's a process called lithography. It's basically using light to print patterns onto silicon. Many companies can do basic lithography, but when it comes to the cutting edge with what we call EUV or extreme ultraviolet lithography, ASML owns 100% of the market. Think about that. In a world that preaches free markets and competition, there is a total absolute monopoly on the most important tool of the 21st century. If TSMC in Taiwan wants to make the 3nm chip for the next iPhone, they have to beg ASML for a machine. If Intel wants to catch up and regain its throne, they have to wait in line for years. If Samsung wants to compete, they have to pay the entry fee. ASML doesn't just dominate the industry, they dictate the future. They decide who gets to move forward and who stays in the past. This isn't just business, it's geopolitical leverage. Right now, the United States is using ASML as a strategic weapon to keep China out of the high-tech race. They have realized that you don't need to win a war with tanks if you can win it by controlling the light. To understand why a single machine is worth $350 million, you have to understand the impossible physics ASML had to conquer. To make a modern chip, you have to print billions of tiny transistors onto a piece of silicon, but these transistors are now so small, 3 nanometers, that they are literally smaller than a human virus. You cannot use regular light to print them. Regular light is too fat. The wavelength is too wide. It's like trying to write a micro novel using a giant spray paint can. So ASML decided to use a type of light that doesn't even exist naturally on Earth, extreme ultraviolet light. It's a wavelength so short that it's absorbed by almost everything, including the very air we breathe. To make it work, the entire process has to happen inside a vacuum more perfect than outer space. But how do you create this light? This is where it gets insane. Inside the machine, a high-power CO2 laser fires a pulse at a tiny droplet of molten tin. This droplet is traveling at 200 miles per hour. The laser hits it twice. The first hit flattens the droplet into a pancake. The second hit vaporizes it into a plasma that glows at 400,000 degrees Celsius. That is 40 times hotter than the surface of the sun. This happens 50,000 times every single second. Then that light has to be guided by mirrors, but these aren't regular mirrors. They are the flattest surfaces ever created by humanity. If these mirrors were scaled up to the size of Germany, the highest mountain on the surface would be less than a millimeter tall. If a single speck of dust falls inside this machine, the entire multi-million-dollar process is ruined. This isn't manufacturing, this is engineering witchcraft. It took ASML 20 years and billions of dollars in research to make this work, while every other company in the world gave up and said it was impossible. Because this technology is so powerful, it has become the ultimate weapon in the 21st century. The United States government has effectively placed a leash on ASML. They have pressured the Dutch government to ban ASML from selling its most advanced EUV machines to China. Why? Because the nation that has the fastest chips has the best AI. And the nation with the best AI has the best drones, the most advanced missile guidance, and the most lethal cyber weapons to make this work. While every other company in the world gave up and said it was impossible, China is desperate. They have poured tens of billions of dollars into their own domestic lithography programs, but they are stuck. You cannot just copy an ASML machine. It is not just a blueprint. It is a symphony of a global supply chain involving over 5,000 specialized companies. ASML is caught in the middle of a high-stakes knife fight between two superpowers. They are a Dutch company, but their permission to breathe often comes from Washington, D.C. If ASML ships a machine to Shanghai tomorrow, the US could cripple ASML's access to American software and components, killing the company overnight. This is what experts call the Silicon Shield. As long as the West controls ASML, they control the speed of human progress. It is a digital iron curtain, and ASML is the one holding the keys. Buying a machine from ASML isn't like buying a piece of equipment. It's like buying a ticket to the future, and the price of that ticket is astronomical. The newest model, the high NA EUV, costs over $350 million per unit, but the machine is just the beginning of the cost. To run one of these, you need a specialized factory, a fab, that costs between $10 and $20 billion to build. These machines are so sensitive that a heavy truck driving on a highway a mile away can create enough vibration to ruin the production. They require thousands of gallons of ultra pure water and enough electricity to power a small city. The risk for companies like Intel or Samsung is terrifying. If you buy 10 of these machines and you fail to calibrate them correctly, you lose $3.5 billion before you even ship your first product. But the alternative is even worse: irrelevance. If you don't buy from ASML, you're out of the game. You are stuck making legacy chips for refrigerators and car windows while the rest of the world moves into the age of superintelligence. This is a pay-to-play system where the entry fee is billions, and there's only one dealer in town. This gives ASML a financial fortress. They have a backlog of orders worth tens of billions. They don't need to find customers. Customers spend years begging them for the privilege of spending $300 million. The story of ASML teaches us a lesson that most people aren't ready to hear. Our high-tech civilization is incredibly fragile. We like to think that progress is a broad, unstoppable wave. We think that if one company fails, another will simply take its place. But in the world of high-end semiconductors, that is a lie. The entire digital revolution, everything from the AI that writes your emails to the GPS that guides your plane, is balanced on the tip of a single needle in the Netherlands. We have allowed a situation where a single company in a single town holds the monopoly on the future. We've built this monopoly out of necessity because the physics of 3nm chips are too hard for anyone else to solve. We have traded competition for capability. We are all living in a world built by ASML. We are using their light to see the future. But if that light ever goes out, whether through war, economic collapse, or a simple mistake, the digital age ends with it. ASML is the kingmaker. They decide who wins the tech race and who gets left behind. But even the world's most advanced machine is useless without the brains that tell it what to build. In our next video, we're going to look at the company that took ASML's power and used it to trigger the AI revolution. The company that turned video cards into a $1 trillion empire. Next time we talk about NVIDIA. Subscribe so you don't miss the final piece of the puzzle. Thanks for watching.